Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. So we're back on the farm early morning as we start September. So we obviously have our crops to plant. Well, actually we don't, because we're going to go ahead. We said we're going to plant oats. So we've got to wait until the spring. So we'll see what we can do to keep us busy. Certainly our productions are another key thing to look at. So the bakery isn't running because we haven't gotten flour to it. It looks like we're still processing the last bit of wheat that we had. I'm going to assume that something got output because we should have made way more than that off of 8,000 wheat than 961. So I'm thinking this is what couldn't get output. So that's a good sign, because maybe we are able to do what I was hoping and generate our own product. All right, we've got strawberries here, so we're going to test our one piece. Let me see. All right, we've got our truck by the shop. Our tractor, the cultivator, and then the tractor with that. I guess I can disconnect this one and move it over to the product transportation tractor. Got a lot of things that have stored up within the greenhouse. I've gone ahead and actually set my game speed to what we've been playing. Alright, so the good news is, since I can pick these up by hand, I can better place them. So I'm going to just quickly throw a few of these on the trailer, and then I'll see how I can arrange them. But crops like this are going to be helpful because I can, if I can move them by hand, it's a lot easier to place them cleanly than it would be to, what I'm trying to figure out, sorry, I'm trying to talk and work at the same time, and obviously it's not working. Because, yeah, I think I can rotate things that way. Let's see. Snug it up there. Oops, why am I floating? I don't understand what just happened. That was very strange. Let's see if I throw that down. We're getting closer. Goodness. Alright, I need to get away from the greenhouse. Oh boy. Now is it like attached to the green? Oh good. That's what we wanted. So now it's like attached to the greenhouse. So a little bit strange when things come in contact. I'm just not sure now what I'm going to do to pull it off, because I don't think I have enough. This is not good. I'll have to try to knock that off with the fork, I guess. Always something. It all started with floating into the sky for some reason, which, again, is not something that even should have been happening. So I don't understand what the game thought was happening. Alright, I think I can get another pallet in there. And then I'll bring my forks by, and I guess we'll see if we can knock things off. Alright. the question of the day. There I go again. Why is it floating? I don't understand. I mean, it shouldn't even be possible, I don't think, to do such a thing. Alright, so the good news is, well, it takes a little bit of work. I can get that nicely packed up, and once again, there's like literally no way I'd be able to do something like that with the pallet forks, especially not with the way that trailer edge is. Alright, so now we're gonna have to see what we can do with this. But I cannot believe it attached itself to the side of the greenhouse. Alright, I'll keep working at this. So I've tried to get the strawberries off for quite a while. I've just given up. I'm going to position this trailer a little further away, hoping pallets are going to spawn. I don't know if that's going to create a problem or not. So in the meantime, let's go look at our grain mill. Look at that. We do have pallets. So it has gone ahead and output flour here, which is excellent. So I just did not let things run long enough in my testing where I thought production chains wouldn't output things. So this is a good thing to be wrong about, because now this gives me some options. But how do I move these? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go look at a low loader. I'm not sure if I can find them here, a flatbed of some sort. We've got enough cash, because what I'd like to do is leave the strawberries there, and I'd like to have more, but I want to move the flour. Alright, so we've got these choices here. It looks like the best option. Yeah, the others are just more expensive, and with the configurations the way they are, they'd just be more challenging to load. Because at this point I am going to have to load it with a pallet fork. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this one, figure out how I want to configure it and buy it. Alright, so we'll have that. And then I can leave the trailer there. Or yeah, I need the pallet forks, so actually let me jump in this tractor, head on over to the store, get that trailer, and get over to the grain mill. Alright, so here I am at the grain mill. I'm going to go ahead and I want to put this. I want to give myself enough room to load without having it be challenging. So one thing I do like about this trailer is it basically drops and lays itself down on the ground. So let's go ahead and see how we can load this. I'm thinking I may need to go too high on the trailer because it's not quite as long as I thought it might be. Just not sure how that's all going to lay out. But let me start with the first few and then we'll see. Just worried there's going to be some sort of a glitch if I use the building. The last thing I wanted is these pallets to stick to the building the way the strawberry pallet did, so. But yeah, with this being as low as it is, I don't have to raise the forks as high, so that's nice. And I don't have the walls to contend with. So let's see how this will work. Back on out. Alright. I was just worried as it started jumping there a little bit, but it's always the challenge. Alright, well, I can certainly fit one right next to it there. Let me look at... just seeing if it's going to output any more pallets. It doesn't look like it. It's out of flour and there's only 400 liters in storage, and these pallets are 1,000. So what I was wondering is it just going to then start giving me additional pallets? But it looks like at this point, these 6 are what I have to transport. So that works out pretty well. I would say it's starting to look like, I won't know for sure until I get the next group in there, but it's starting to look like I might be able to fit them on here without going any higher. Dragging that a little bit. There we go. I don't mind loading with the front loader, but certainly not one of my favorite aspects of the game. Just definitely seems to be a bit touchy. It's hard to get things set up correctly. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get this loaded up. I'll run this remainder with the time lapse and then we'll connect back up when that's done. Alright, so I'm getting the last pallet loaded here. And it looks like it'll fit, so that is great. So depending on what kind of output we get off the fields, this might actually be a pretty good configuration as it sits, because if you remember, we put 8,000 liters in here. Now with oats it'll be a little bit different because we're going to get a slightly higher production rate. But either way, it looks like we can get a full trailer. Oh, that's interesting. So it's telling me it's 100% full at 6,000 liters. I wonder if that means that I couldn't stack them too high. It might not let me strap them down if I did that. So this may be the max load I can do with the flour. But either way, it gives me something to play with and figure out. So this definitely is getting a lot more interesting, because at this point, while I may not choose to manually load all the time, I have the option, which is what I was feeling was lacking before, but it was just a mistake of me not testing thoroughly and not realizing that I hadn't tested thoroughly. So I'm glad to be proven wrong there, because it actually makes this a lot more interesting. Because now I get to play with the scenarios of what I would be doing in real life and how I would operate it. And the nice thing is, again, part of what I love about Farming Simulator is it gives people with different play styles the option to do what they'd like. So Someone else might say, I want everything automated, I don't want to have to deal with any of the movement. And I may switch back and forth as I'm playing, where I decide this time I want to do all of my production chain manually, but the next time I do not. And so I can always switch the output mode to distributing, which then automatically will just send that to the bakery. But it just gives me options to explore as I go along. So there's certainly questions I have if I've got another production chain that takes flour and I'm not manually moving it. Does it just distribute them evenly? How does it determine what it's going to do? Those are all things to explore in the future. But at this point, what I'm trying to figure out is, can I make enough money between contracting and now the bread that this will make that I can purchase a few more fields before March? Because if I can do that, I may get to a point where I have enough output where what I was thinking might happen when I pulled that first pallet away was then at the top of the hour another pallet would appear because there would be things in storage. But if I can get the mill more consistently running without stopping like it is now, that obviously means I'm generating more income over the same span of time, where right now I've produced all the flour I can with the crops I had, and I'm going to have to wait basically almost an entire year till I get more flour going. But oh, yeah, the bakery's back the other way. I'm at the edge of the map here. I'm still trying to learn where everything is, so I thought it was this way, but clearly I'm wrong. So I know it's on the left side of the road here at this point. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and change the production to another output mode to selling directly, because I don't want it to store the bread here. I want to immediately have it do its thing, because while I was fine to test things out to collect this flour, I don't know that I want to try to work and come here and load bread pallets and then figure out where I'm going to sell them. Once again, it's nice to have that option, but at this point, not going to use that. Okay, so it is unloading automatically, which is great. That was one thing I was wondering. It isn't paying me right now, which was another thing I was wondering, but since I own the full production chain, I'm assuming I simply get paid once at the end. But yeah, they'd output here, and then I think I'd have to put the trailer somewhere on the street or in this area here to the side of the building. So it might be intriguing to try once just to see what it's like. But having the option available to me to either do it fully manually or fully automated or anything in between is great, because then there's nothing in the game that's restricting me from playing the way I want to play at a given time, which is what I was thinking was gone when I first tested production chains. So it's always good to learn something new and learn that an assumption we had made or what I thought I had learned was actually incorrect, and so now I can adjust my thinking and go from there. So that's great. So we'll get this parked, but starting to get pretty busy here in the yard because now I have this trailer, I have the fertilizer spreader, which we didn't have before, I have the water tender, which we didn't have before. We're starting to get a lot of equipment. Not really a great place to store it. We'll drop this here. I think I'm done, but wait, no, let me move that honey pallet, because otherwise things won't be generating there. I don't think I'm going to go sell it yet, because I don't have that much, but I believe we're going to have honey that'll appear right away. So let me get that out of the way here. Yep, there it is. All right, there we go. And I'll go ahead and get that one out of the way as well, so that there's nothing stopping the honey from coming out when it's ready to come out. So go ahead and place that over here. Alright, so we're all set with that. So at the next hour the honey will be ready to go. I'm going to check here, now that I know I can move strawberries. Yes, I can move eggs by hand too, so that's great. But yeah, there's nothing I want to do with that yet. I want to get a lot more eggs than this. So I'll put it back. We're obviously only starting on our second pallet of eggs. Looks like they've got plenty of feed still. Let me make sure, as opposed to assuming that they do. There we go. So yeah, I'll just need to keep an eye on that so I make sure they stay productive. But the good news is then I can use that other trailer for the strawberries and the eggs. Alright, so at this point we've got the strawberries stacking up, continuing to let eggs fill up, because I want to have a pretty full trailer before I move those, and we'll just kind of keep an eye on the honey and move things to try to keep everything flowing. At this point though, I think what I'm going to do, because I think now that I know I can hand place eggs along with strawberries, I'm going to use the low loader basically for honey. So I will go ahead and get these placed over there, and that will also give us the option to just kind of keep filling the trailer until we decide we're ready to move it, whenever that may be. That was interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure that it's going to be the best place, although I guess we won't be planting anything for months. I'm trying to not drive on the field to make sure that when there is crop I'm not running over it, but I forget we're not planting the oats until much later, so okay. this is significantly better than what I was trying to do previously. Much easier to load, so it makes it more fun for certain, where I feel like I can do this regularly, where before it felt like much more of a chore. Alright. So I'm assuming in 10 minutes we're going to get another pallet. But for today, that may be all we have. Although I may grab a contract just to have it, but depending on what the type of work is, I don't know that I want to begin it. Today, given that it's going to get dark shortly. I've obviously already got the lengthening shadows. So while I wait for the pallet, let me go look at contracts. We've got one fertilizing. We actually have some harvesting. Not sure I want to get into sowing. But yeah, I'll go ahead and accept the fertilizing contract, because I can do those pretty easily. Alright, so we're at the normal pace now where it's just filling the pallet, so we should be good for a while. In the meantime, I will go do this fertilization contract. Drive our balance up a bit. And maybe someday I'll figure out what to do with my Spider-Man strawberries and go from there. So I need to go to field 33, it said. Let's see. There it is. All right. So we'll see. We have 1,879. We'll see how close we get to finishing up the field with that. We can cut, whoa, we can cut up this way and get to those fields, which is good because I think this may be one of the ones I'd like to, if I can start to expand into these at some point, that would be terrific. Start fertilizing, and this should go pretty quickly. It's again more the question of, can I actually get it done with the amount of fertilizer I have? I'm hopeful. And it's certainly more certainly easier without crops, given that I can see what I'm doing. Whoops, I think I missed a little bit of the edge there. I got a little too far over. But that should help not overusing fertilizer, because I'll be able to more precisely place my width. Missed a little bit there again. Just go do the other edge. Interesting. The 33 isn't heading up there. Again, I think I'm getting way too close to pulling away from the edge of the field. It's a little bit of a challenge to try to figure this out. Yeah, the keyboard just, for me, is just drifting. If I try to fine-tune with the keyboard, it floats. I don't understand that. So I'll keep slowly driving with the wheel. Much further away than I thought, which is obviously part of the problem that I have when I can't see and how I end up with the gaps. So I've got to be significantly closer than I thought. But I do feel comfortable, given that I've used about 400 liters and about 3 times through the field. I think I'll be okay, so it may only require like 800. So I may finish before I get to 1,000, which would be great, because then that also means I have enough to do a couple more fields, and if I can get another 7,000 or 8,000 out of it, spending 2,000 on fertilizer, then wow. Gotta find a different way to do this. Now, for those of you who may be wondering about the FSN series, it is now midwinter in year 72 on the FSN servers. So I've got a couple days till spring, so then I will take a look. But I'm definitely going to start that up again and be active there. I think I've definitely gotten enough of an understanding of FS22, and at this point can't really hop over there in FSN without obviously exactly what we're dealing with here, base maps and no mods, because there aren't any. It's interesting to see how different options exist for getting over here. So this is good. I can go directly to the store, and that actually is helpful, because if I do pick up some fertilizer, I'm going to go ahead, and since I'm here actually, and buy myself a big bag, so that I have that done. Tempted to buy more than one, but I don't know how many fertilizing jobs I'm going to get, so not really a point in just having it sit around and having money tied up, especially since my goal is to eventually get some of the fields purchased, hopefully before March, so that we've got more to plant. So let me look at contracts. I know I can turn that one in. But yeah, cultivating, harvesting. Potatoes, that better be a very small field. Field 67. What does that look like? Oh, it is actually a very, very tiny field, but even with that, I am sure that that would take a bit of time. Just seeing what the purchasing looks like for that. Alright, so at this point, I think I'm completed for the day. So on my actual farm, I'm now waiting to get crops in and get them harvested eventually, about this time next year. So it looks like we may be looking at a bit of slowness still for another game year. And then maybe things will pick up a bit, but I'm not sure. Because, yeah, certainly 30 chickens are not laying a lot of eggs. Trying to remember if we've taken more than one pallet away. Not sure that we have. I do need to start thinking about where I'm going to store things. Because I'd like the barn, or the farmyard, kind of tidied up a bit, instead of having things willy-nilly all over the place. You know what, I'm going to go ahead actually and I'm going to fertilize my fields while I have time, because it's early enough in the day that I can do that pretty easily, especially given how fast this goes. But at least that way that will be complete for the first stage, so that when I finally do plant, we'll be good to go. I think because I had to turn for that trailer, yeah, I've got a little patch I'm going to have to go and touch up there. Alright, so this field is basically done. There we go. And then we'll go get these two completed. And we should be all set after that. May have left a little too much from the border to complete it on the other end, but I guess we'll see what it looks like when we get there. But yeah, being able to basically make 2 passes and cover the entire field is not something I'm used to. I was hoping I could turn, but I could not. So I'm going to go ahead and swing this a little bit. Look out, sir. Or ma'am, I can't tell. Get fertilizer on you so that you grow big and strong. Alright. So we'll run this back. The good news is then that we will be ready to plant in the spring. nothing else we can do, and then it will be a job that we won't have to worry about as well. We can just immediately get our second stage of fertilization down. So I think what I was going to do is park this trailer here next to the barn. We'll go ahead and get some more of our strawberries. And I don't think I'm going to be able to, yeah, can't get multiples in there, so I'll stack. Let me see here. Okay, I thought it would stop me on the edge of that, but it doesn't look like it will. I think that's lined up. Because this way that'll give us a little bit more strength too to hold these things down. Let me see what our productions look like. Alright, so bread is operating, it is selling. I think we started with 6,000 flour. And the strawberries have plenty of water. And they're storing up so that they can get to the 120. Or 150, sorry. So we'll have another pallet shortly. But that'll do it for today on the farm. See you next time.